What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
We've just had a pretty wild couple of days in MLB. Lots of action.
Yeah, definitely some unexpected results sprinkled in there.
For sure. And we've got a bunch of game recaps, analysis, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission today is really to sift through it all, pull out the key insights, give you the quick rundown on what actually mattered.
Kind of a shortcut through the noise.
Exactly. So, ready to get into it. Let's start with yesterday. Cleveland and Minnesota. Guardians won 4-2. Seemed kind of straightforward.
Well, yeah, the score looks simple, but digging into it, the Guardians' execution was pretty sharp.
Oh, so?
Their starting pitcher, he really managed to, disrupt the Twins' timing, kept their big bats quiet.
Okay.
And then that home run in the fifth, it wasn't just random.
No.
It came right after the Twins had a chance to score and couldn't. You could almost, feel the momentum just swing right there.
Okay, so a real gut punch after a missed opportunity for Minnesota.
Exactly.
And it sounds like the Twins left some guys on base. That was part of the story.
Oh, absolutely. The reports point to several spots where they had runners ready to score and just couldn't cash them in.
That kills you in a close game.
It does. It costs runs, obviously, but it also puts more pressure back on your own pitchers. For me, the takeaway is the Guardians making those key plays when it counts. That's contender stuff.
Right, performing under pressure. Okay, shifting to a game that sounds like it was anything but straightforward, Orioles beat the Yankees 5-4.
Oh, yeah, that one was a classic. Back and forth lead changes.
What stood out there?
The Orioles were just aggressive. In a smart way, though. Timely hitting, but also really pushing it on the base paths.
Putting pressure on the defense.
Constant pressure. And that led directly to the go-ahead run, didn't it? The double steal in the eighth.
Yeah. That's gutsy in a one-run game late.
It is, but maybe calculated. Some reports suggest the Yankees pitcher in that spot, he was maybe a little slow to the plate.
Homework paying off for the O's.
Could be. They likely saw an opening and exploited it. And then their bullpen, especially the closer, just shut the door. Precision pitching when the Yankees tried to answer back.
So tactical execution winning out. Okay. From a nail-biter to, a blowout. Cardinals crushed the Reds 9-1.
Yeah, that was just dominance, all facets of the game.
The offense obviously clicked.
Big time. It wasn't just one guy either. Contributions up and down the lineup, relentless pressure. And that grand slam in the third.
Game over, pretty much.
Felt like it. Just took all the air out of the Reds.
And the pitching matched the offense.
Absolutely. Starter was dealing, bullpen kept it going, just complete control. It really showed the Cardinals' depth, They can beat you in multiple ways.
Okay, let's look at another tight one. Pirates over the Cubs, 4-3. Sounds like pitching and timely hitting again.
Yeah, that's a fair description. The Pirates starter did a great job keeping the Cubs uncomfortable, mixing pitches.
Cut them off balance.
Exactly. And that two-run homer in the sixth, it felt crucial. Came right when maybe the Cubs pitcher was just starting to fade a little.
Capitalizing on a moment. But the Cubs didn't just roll over, did they?
No, they definitely made a push late. But the Pirates' defense really clamped down.
Made the plays.
Key double play, I think a diving catch mentioned in one report. Stuff that shows you can handle the pressure when the game's on the line. It's about resilience.
Good point. All right. Phillies and Nationals yesterday. Philly won that one pretty handily, 7-2. Offensive showcase.
Totally. The Phillies lineup just seemed to wear down the Nats pitching. They were patient, worked counts.
Made them throw strikes.
Right. And that three-run homer in the fourth, it felt like the dam breaking. Turned a kind of close game into a comfortable lead pretty fast.
And the Nats just couldn't slow them down.
Seemed like they struggled to find a rhythm, pitching-wise, maybe some location issues, plus a couple of defensive miscues didn't help their cause. Extended innings for the Phillies.
So some self-inflicted wounds for Washington, too.
Yeah, Philly played great, but the Nats didn't quite help themselves either.
Gotcha. Then the AL East battle. Blue Jays edged the Red Sox 7-6. Sounds like another close one.
Always seems to be between those two, doesn't it? The Jays were really good at manufacturing runs, getting guys on, moving them over.
Smart baseball.
And aggressive base running again, forcing the Red Sox defense to react quickly.
Which can lead to mistakes.
Exactly. And the winning run comes in the ninth on a sac fly. Textbook execution.
Clutch.
It really is. And it's interesting because, the Red Sox bullpen has had some late-inning hiccups this season. The Jays might have specifically targeted that.
Exploiting a potential weakness. Smart. Okay, back to the NER. Diamondbacks squeaked by the Mets 4-3.
Yeah, tight one. Pitching was really the story for Arizona here.
Strong start.
Very strong start, kept the Mets quiet most of the way. That solo shot in the 7th gave them a bit of breathing room, which turned out to be crucial.
But the Mets made it interesting late.
They did. They put together a rally. But again, like we saw with the Pirates, the Diamondbacks defense stepped up when needed, made the plays to close it out.
So pitching and defense winning the day for the D-backs.
Pretty much. Wasn't an offensive explosion, but they did enough.
Okay, now for maybe the biggest surprise yesterday, White Sox blanked the Brewers 8-0.
Yeah, nobody really saw that coming, did they?
Not against Milwaukee, usually.
Right. The White Sox offense just erupted. And that grand slam, really early second inning, seemed to just deflate the Brewers immediately.
Huge psychological blow.
Absolutely. And then their pitching was just lights out. Complete command from the starter. Bullpen didn't give an inch.
Total shutdown.
While on the flip side, the Brewers, usually so potent, couldn't get anything going. A few defensive lapses, too. Just one of those games where everything went right for Chicago.
Shows you anything can happen. Last one from yesterday. Athletics beat the Rangers 7-1. Another decisive one.
Yeah, the A's offense has been surprisingly effective lately. This was another example.
Putting up runs consistently.
Consistently getting guys on, driving them in. That 3-run homer in the 4th really broke it open, took the pressure off their own pitchers.
And the Rangers couldn't answer.
Their pitching couldn't contain the A's, and the offense couldn't mount much. Oakland's pitchers did a good job limiting damage, keeping the key Texas hitters quiet. Shows how momentum can swing, and the A's definitely seem to have some right now.
Okay, wow. That's a lot to digest from just yesterday. But the action kept rolling today.
Never stops, does it?
And we saw some interesting reversals, some continued trends. Let's start with the Nationals and Phillies again. Total flip today. Nats won 4-0.
Right. That's baseball. What's fascinating is how quickly the Nationals adjusted.
How so? What changed?
Their pitching approach seemed totally different. The starter was hitting spots, keeping Philly off balance way more effectively than yesterday.
Okay.
And that go-ahead double in the 6th. It wasn't just a random hit. It came after some really solid at-bats that built pressure.
So better execution all around for Washington.
Exactly. And this time, when the Phillies tried to rally, the Nats' defense was sharp. Made the plays they didn't make yesterday. Great bounce-back win.
Shows resilience. Okay, other rematch. Blue Jays and Red Sox. Jays won again, 4-2. Toronto seems to have Boston's number.
They really do right now. It's like they found a formula against the Red Sox pitching.
Still manufacturing runs.
Yep. Timely hitting, smart base running. They put 2 runs up in the 7th to take the lead, again putting pressure on Boston.
And the Red Sox bullpen struggled again.
It's becoming a bit of a theme, unfortunately, for Boston. The Jays just seem really adept at capitalizing late in games against them. Disciplined hitting, good approach.
Consistency from Toronto. All right, let's talk about the Tigers and Angels. Detroit won big, 10-4.
Yeah.
Sounds like an offensive explosion.
Oh, it was. Just pure firepower from the Tigers. Contributions from pretty much everyone in the lineup.
Any standout moments?
Well, there was a grand slam in the 5th that really put the game away, but even before that, they were just consistently hitting, putting guys on base, driving them in.
And the Angels pitching just couldn't stop the bleeding.
Seemed like they had no answers. Tigers hitters were locked in, and Detroit's pitching did enough to keep the Angels from ever really threatening a big comeback. Just a dominant day for the Tigers offense.
Shows their depth when they get going.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. Rockies edged the Giants 4-3. Another close one for Colorado.
Yeah, they seem to be making a habit of winning these tight games lately.
What's the key for them?
Seems to be their pitching staff, especially the starters. They're keeping games close, limiting damage.
Keeping them in it.
Exactly. Which allows for moments like that solo homer in the 8th to actually be the game winner.
Right.
It was clutch, but the pitching set the stage.
And the Giants came close, but couldn't quite get over the hump.
Right. They had their chances, but the Rockies' defense held firm late, made the necessary plays, again, executing under pressure.
Okay, so looking back over these 2 days, quite a mix.
Definitely. You see that resilience from teams like the Guardians, the Rockies, winning those tight ones.
Yeah, grinded it out.
Then you have the sheer offensive power we saw from the Cardinals, Phillies yesterday, the Tigers today. Just overwhelming opponents.
The White Sox yesterday, can't forget that shutout.
Right. Pitching dominance was huge in some games, and we saw how strategic moves, like that Orioles double steal, can completely change a game.
It's also really interesting seeing those direct rematches play out so differently, like Nats-Phillies.
Or similarly, like Jays-Red Sox. It shows how crucial adjustments are day to day, but also how matchups can sometimes just favor one team.
Absolutely. So all these games, the blowouts, the nail-biters, the surprises, They're all pieces of the puzzle, right? Giving us a clearer picture of team strengths, weaknesses.
Yeah, you start to see patterns emerge, who might be for real, who's maybe punching above their weight, or who has some flaws to fix.
So, final thought for everyone listening then. After hearing all this, which of these performances really stands out to you?
Yeah, like which dominant win or which gritty comeback feels like it might actually signal something bigger for that team going forward.
Is it the Cardinals' firepower? The Guardians' knack for close wins? The Nationals' bouncing back?
It's definitely something to think about. Which of these recent results might actually be a preview of what's to come? Keep an eye on these teams.